steps to take when laying out a plan. I mean, you can open Chief and start drawing, that's fine. But if you're going to draw a fairly, substantial plan, it really pays to do some of these steps properly. Let me just run through the list and I'll go to the plan and show you a couple things. Think through what you want for your final plan. Again, we talked about that a little bit earlier with the spreadsheet that I have. If it's an as-built, clean it up before proceeding. What does that mean? Alright, have you ever drawn, I draw very detailed as-built plans, and I thought I had one open here before until I closed everything to restart my computer. Hang on a second, let me go find that real quick. So you go out and measure a house. I don't mess around when I measure everything. Okay, I measured this house as you see it in 4 hours, 3.5 I think, by the time I was said and done. I have an exact model of the house, of the existing house. Alright, customer paying for that? You bet. Is that going to save a lot of money in the long run of the plan? You bet. It's worth every penny. A good as-built's worth every penny that you pay for it. When I went out and I measured the house, I didn't finish it. I had things still floating around, details that I need to clean up. Again, in this plan I probably took 150 pictures before I left too. In fact, that's the first thing I do when I measure a house. Take the pictures first, then you have an idea what you're going to be drawing. Don't take the pictures last, because usually what happens is you're running late then and then you won't have time to take all the pictures you need to take. Take the pictures first. So I cleaned this up before, and I saved it as my as-built before I got into making changes to it. Then I did a save as and started making my changes from there. So in fact, here is that same plan with the room addition off the back and all my changes put in it. So clean up those as-builts first before proceeding. Set up your defaults. Start with a section to help you define your structure. Again, we talked about that a little bit. Drawing the cross section first doesn't hurt. Use the right wall types when you're drawing a plan. Don't stretch walls in 3D unless you have no other choice. Okay, when you're working on a plan, do not, in elevation view, click on a wall and stretch it up or stretch it down. Once you do that, there's no more function of the roof cutting the wall off, and there's no more function of the wall following the floor and ceiling heights. Once you change the height of a wall, top or bottom, it's independent of the rest of the plan now, and if you get walls sticking through a roof, that's probably why. Okay, so don't be doing that. Use the right wall types. Alright, back to that plan that I had here. Alright, in my as-built plan I have two types of walls. I have my existing and my new, and I have them so they show up that way. If you're doing a new home, use the right size walls. Again, one of the things I always teach in my classes is let's draw the building exactly as it's going to be built. Again, you don't have to, but if you're going to do it and you're going to produce a 3D model, and from that 3D model you're going to get elevations and cross sections, you want to get it right. And it's not that much harder to get it right than it is to just do it haphazardly. Doesn't take that much longer if you're careful. Dimension with the goal of eliminating fractions. Other than people doing stuff like this, when I see plans come through here with mistakes, one of the things that I see quite often, let me just go to this untitled plan, is people will sketch out walls and they won't be dimensioning them as they're going. Get rid of those fractions. If you've moved something a little bit and there's a fraction, before you start really before you start really going into your model and working on things, make the dimensions the right size. As you're putting windows in, dimension them to the right place. It's not that hard to do. Again, on this plan here, if we take a look at what I had to work with when I got the plan, okay, dimensions were set up wrong, lots of fractions everywhere. I had to go around the whole plan and spend time cleaning it up. Not a big deal. But if, as it was laid out, that were done, it would have saved the trouble of having to do that later. So watch that as you're working on your plan. Get those dimensions in the right place. Get the levels and platforms correct in your plan. As you get more proficient with the program, that becomes easier to do. as you're learning to understand what's going on in this 3D monstrosity, it gets really frustrating. How do you get things in the right place? And that's something that's we're going to talk about that in just a minute. Then add the roofs, then add the stairs. If you do these 4 things, get your dimensioning right. Draw your plan, get your levels and platforms correct in your plan, add your roofs, add your stairs. You get past these 3 things, the rest of the plan is usually pretty easy. But again, once you get more proficient with Chief and you understand what some of these things are doing, then it's not so hard. And then you can add the rest of the detail. Cabinets, doors, windows, things like that. But again, be careful as you're putting things in. All right, so dimensioning is important.